If you are intimately familiar with the 727 torque flight like I am, you'll know that the factory clutch drum retainer and input hub, there's an inherent problem with that. The tolerances are very loose on the machining, and as a result you have play like this. And we're going to measure that play in a minute with the dial indicator, but as you can see here, you have play between your piston return spring, your Belleville spring, and the piston, the applied piston for your forward clutch pack. Now, see if you can see this. Is what happens is, in a high pressure valve body situation, if you have a serious street or serious drag race effort, this piston with a high pressure valve body could actually pop out of the bore. And as what happens is this Belleville spring will invert and this spring will pop out of the bore, and basically what happens is your forward clutches will stay applied and your vehicle will more than likely drive forward in neutral. So I'm going to show you how to fix this play in between the input hub and your forward clutch drum retainer. I'm also going to talk to you about some of the differences in the Belleville springs from early to late, the factory piston versus, pan over here real quick, some of the new parts on the aftermarket, which are these billet aluminum forward apply pistons, and this is mainly what's going to fix your problem with that forward clutch drum. Okay, now I've got my dial indicator set up here on the input hub to show you just how much play is in this input hub and forward clutch drum retainer assembly. And if you could tell, I've got about 35 thousandths of play, and that's way too much. That could cause a failure with, like I said, your forward apply piston actually popping out of the bore. And another thing it's going to do is when you're going to check your, when you go to check your final unit end play, you're going to check your end play here at the input shaft with the tail shaft pushed forward, and this is going to skew your readings. So you really want to get this fixed. It's an inherent problem, needs to be fixed. And basically what you end up with is, this is an aftermarket piece ready to go. There's no play here, and you can see how we have this piece almost ready to go into a unit, and this is solid, it's sturdy. This is a billet aluminum clutch drum retainer with the billet input hub and a 300 M input shaft rated 1200 horsepower. So let's talk a little bit about the Belleville return springs. Alright, so we've got the Belleville springs, both early and late, and the 834 factory cast aluminum piston. The part number is, the last three digits are 834, so we refer to it as that. It's 0.780 thick, so 780 thousandths thick. Now, some people think that this is 62 through 73. Some people think the later cast OEM piston is taller. I haven't really found that to be true, which that casting number is 623. At any rate, you can see, so that's the factory applied piston. Now, as far as your Belleville springs go, you've got your early and you've got your late. The inherent problem here with the early one is that these fingers could get worn, and like I said, your spring could actually invert, and it could really, it basically when it inverts, it's set up like this, but when the piston pops out of the bore, this spring will actually invert like that. The piston will come out of the bore, it will damage your lip seals, and it will burn your clutches. So what you really want to use is this late 74 to 90 setup here, because there's not as much area here to have a failure. Another good habit to get into is on each of your freshen ups, especially with the high pressure to high performance valve bodies that you're dealing with, you really want to go ahead and replace this. It's good, cheap insurance. It'll keep you from having failure with your piston popping out of the bore. Okay, so what's the big fix here? Well, this is the fix. Now, a company called A&A Transmissions out of Canby, Indiana has come out with these billet aluminum apply pistons. Now, what's nice about these is they offer them in 4 different thicknesses. 0.875 seems to be about the magic number. So this is going to allow you the correct height to take up that play in your factory forward clutch assembly. So I'm going to demonstrate how to take up that play right now. Alright, so here we are set up in the vise, and obviously you're going to install, you're first going to install your lip seals. There's 2 lip seals. You're going to use your assembly lube to get this piston into your input hub. Now obviously for demonstration purposes we're not going to put the seals in because it takes too much time. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you how this is going to take up the play in that very drum that I was just showing you. Let me grab my my new, well, I got a used one unfortunately, but you'll see that even with the used one, it'll still take up the play. Okay, so I got my snap ring in there. So you can see already that there's no play in between this input hub and clutch drum retainer. It's virtually eliminated with the extra height piston made by A&A Transmissions in Canby, Indiana. Thanks for watching and have a good day.